How's it going, everyone? It is Andre Williams, and over here we talk stocks and we focus on one thing. Always protect your profits. And today we're going to be talking about SNDL's Sundial growers. We know they have an acquisition that's about to happen for Alcana. We'll talk about that a little bit, but we also do see, as far as for the cannabis sector as a whole, it is still witnessing a pullback. So I want to make sure I'm giving you this update, considering we do have some very volatile market conditions. I know you guys saw the sell-off. I won't waste any more time. Let's jump into the agenda. If you're new to this channel, I just want to let you know we have timestamps down below inside the description. But if you're a shareholder, you're thinking about taking a position, I highly suggest you watch this full entire video. So the first thing we're going to go over is the technical analysis. We're going to be taking a look at the overall price action. We want to know support. We want to know resistance. We want to know what it looks like in the bearish case scenario and as well as in the bullish case scenario. And then we're going to go on Fintel, taking a look at the recent institutional ownership and short interest information. The reason why this is important, because it does have an impact on the way the stock performs. And then we're going to take a look at the order flow distribution. We want to know the buying and the selling behavior on the retail side and as well as on the institutional side. And then when all of that is done, we'll be going into the final thoughts and as well as some more details. So let's get to it. So we're going to do a technical analysis for SNDL Sundial growers. Let's see how it performed on the day. So it ended up closing at 51 cents, being down 0.48%. On the low, it tested 51 cents, and then on the high, testing 54 cents. When we take a look at the volume stats on the day, you can see we traded at 55.418 million shares, and the average volume over 10 trading days is at 68.016 million shares. So we did have below average volume on the day, and we did have a pullback inside of the market, but I must say SNDL still held itself up fairly well. Now, when we take a look at our chart, we can see from the RSI down below, it is at 34.77. Keep in mind, we are using the daily chart. And then when we take a look at our moving averages, we are below the 200-day, the 100-day, the 50-day, and as well as the 21-day EMA. So what this tells us, SNDL is in a bear market. It has been selling off. I think I spoke about this in my previous video as well, and I was saying I wouldn't mind adding to my position when this stock gets to 50 cents. There is a possibility it could break through that 50-cent level, but for now, this has been an area of support. But don't be surprised, like I said, if we have price action below that, even though it is in that oversold territory. So for SNDL to start looking bullish again, I'd want to see it at least come back to reclaim the 21-day EMA right here around 58 cents. And then upon getting to 58, we already know we have a strong resistance here, psychological area, right at 60 cents. And if we're able to gain some momentum, this is where things can really start getting interesting for this stock. But for the most part, with the current market conditions that we are in, don't be surprised if we do decide to dip even further. But if we end up having a catalyst that comes through as far as for the cannabis sector, we know SNDL can benefit from this, and then we can see what it does from there. So let's take a look at the institutional ownership for SNDL. So as we scroll down, green rows indicate new positions while red rows indicate closed position. So for recent filings for January the 20th, which is today, we have Helsinki Wealth Management LLC that purchased 20,000 shares. So that is definitely good to see. So we're going to take a look at the short interest information for SNDL. So for the dark pool short volume ratio, it's at 51.90%. And then for the dark pool short volume, it is just over 29.31 million shares. Scrolling down further on the page, the short shares availability is at 2.2 million, updated 21 minutes ago. And then for the short buy fee rate, it is at 8.18%. When we take a look at the history of the short volume ratio, we can see for the close of the 18th, it was at 51.46. And then when we look at the close for the 19th, which was yesterday, it was at 51.90. So what this tells us right away, SNDL does have short squeeze potential, and there's also a lot of negative market sentiment around the stock, but we can see this in the cannabis sector as a whole. So this is why whenever we have a catalyst or we have some news, we see big jumps in price action. So now let's move on to the order flow distribution. Now let's take a look at the order flow distribution for SNDL. So we can see here on the inflow, it's at 7.12, and then on the outflow, it's at 9.50. So we ended up having an outflow day. When we take a look at the breakdown, it was 0 on the large, On the medium, 4.40. On the small, it was 2.72. And then when we take a look at the outflow side, on the large, it was 0. On the medium, it was 5.90. And then on the small, it was 3.60. Taking a look at the large scale orders in the last 5 days, you see zeros down the board. Analyzing the numbers even further for the small scale orders that tend to represent the retail side, we had more selling than we had buying. And then when we take a look at what happened on the medium, we had more selling than we had buying as well. And then when we take a look at the turnover ratio, it was at 2.72%. So this is not too bad whatsoever. And what this tells us, many shareholders are not selling out of their positions. There is a lot of volatility. It does grab the attention of a lot of traders. We know that SNDL has been known as a meme stock. But one thing that I want you guys to understand, this volatility will continue, especially having these sell-offs happening in the market. So now let's go into the final thoughts and we'll go over some more details as well. So for my final thoughts for SNDL Sundial growers, the latest updates coming from the company, let's go over it very quickly. Sundial's Alcana acquisition just steps away from closing after final court order approval. So this is definitely great to hear as far as for the operational side, and we know how beneficial this will be for Sundial. And this will help over time bring more value to shareholders and bring the stock price back up. We also do know that SNDL is buying back shares as well. So again, if you are invested in this play, things are looking good. But in regards to the overall price action, yes, it is in a bear market and there is a possibility SNDL can get down to the 49 or 48 cents range. It's doing a pretty good job holding up the 50-cent area, but if we continue to have volatility inside of these markets, this is why I'm saying there's a strong possibility 50-cent area could break. Also, when we went on Fintel, taking a look at the recent institutional ownership, we can see recent filings of institutions loading up on shares, and it also does continue to have short squeeze potential, which I'm pretty sure is the main reason why there's a lot of volatility inside of the stock. We also have to notice that the cannabis sector has been getting hit hard just like the rest of the market. So the moment we get a catalyst or some news in regards to legalization in the United States, I can see Sundial reacting very well and having a strong pop. When is this going to happen? We really don't know. But when it comes to the cannabis sector, they are trading at fair valuations at the moment. Some of them are really undervalued. And SNDL is one of those prospects that is worth taking a look at. But at the end of the day, I hope you guys are seeing what's happening in front of you. You want to get yourself into the habit of buying stocks when they are beaten down. So at least when those green days or when the price jumps up, you'll be able to look at your portfolio and be like, you know what, I'm doing very well. Most of the time, people tend to buy stocks while they are running up or while they're having green days. But again, if you do this consistently, this is not the best way to maximize your gains in the market. You could actually potentially lose money. Instead, you want to buy into the fear when the stock is getting beaten down. But again, only do this if you have high conviction. Because if you don't have high conviction and if the stock dips further, you're going to be pissed off and you're going to be like, man, I'm going to get rid of this thing. All right. So I just want to make sure you guys have the update on that. Do some research in the cannabis sector, see what stocks you like. But I do see SNDL having some upside. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and we'll be talking real soon.